I've definitely pissed off some people by now because of the title of the video and the thumbnail, but let me just put out a huge disclaimer before I get massacred by any SpaceX fanboys. I am a huge supporter and follower of SpaceX ever since Elon Musk put out the idea years ago. I mean, the man has been thinking about this topic, researching, testing, and trying for over a decade now. And here I am shitting on this entire project as if I know anything about rocket technology to begin with. It goes without saying that SpaceX is pioneering the space industry. It has kicked off the new space race. And honestly, without SpaceX, we'd still be in the hands of Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and all of the other contractors that have stagnated space travel by overpricing and underdeveloping the technologies needed to get us off the damn ground. I have the utmost respect for SpaceX. There isn't really a live stream that I miss, and most of my YouTube page is filled with SpaceX enthusiasts and YouTubers like myself analyzing and debating every single thing that these people are doing. I should also say that it is because of SpaceX that we're even allowed to critique the development of the Starship, since no other company or entity before this would share any of the development happening. SpaceX is quite open about this, and we get to follow all of the development happening at Boca Chica on a daily basis. I mean, we have cameras, drones, presentations, Elon on Twitter, live YouTubers, merch. This is absolutely incredible. And it is because of SpaceX's honesty and openness that we are able to have all of this that comes with it. And this is why I want to dedicate a section of this channel for space news and developments. So why am I bashing Starship? Simply because I actually really care about getting to the red planet, and I think in order to get there safely and securely, we're going to have to address the elephant in the room. No, I'm not talking about the financial cost, although I'm sure the development of Starship is burning a hole in SpaceX's budget, or at least Elon Musk's pocket. And no, I'm not talking about the lethal radiation, or the complex process of orbital refueling, or how the hell is this supposed to fit 100 people, or how on Earth we are going to get technologies on Mars in order to make fuel for the Starship, or how much food and water we need in order to get a crew there, or the fact that we have to test this new technology in space and on Mars. No, I'm not talking about these. I'm talking about the fundamental problem that we are born with, that we live and die with, that we are in a sense prisoners of. This problem has been so overlooked, or at least I think it has, although I think Elon has already thought about this problem years back, yet it is so vital it has its own movie named after it. You must have guessed it by now. We're not going anywhere before we solve this problem. And we're going to explore what solutions SpaceX and other future companies or entities can explore in order to secure humanity's place amongst the stars. Hi, Ohms here, and welcome to OmzLaw. I'm sure followers of this channel are probably confused by now why I'm making a video about space. Bear with me for the next couple of minutes. And for those joining in, if you enjoyed this video, I doubt based on the topic today, but subscribing to the channel will really help me grow it. Also, feel free to check out all of my other content here. So, becoming an interplanetary species, in my humble opinion, is possibly the most important endeavor or goal that we have to achieve as soon as possible. We should have done it by now, but I won't complain. And it's not just about having an insurance policy for our species, and even that is being undermined and taken for granted during the time of a worldwide pandemic. Before we went to the moon, we had to image the surface multiple times and develop new imaging techniques in order to choose the proper location for landing. This led to the development of the MRI, a machine most of us have needed at least once in our lifetime. Going to space means progressing to the future. The technologies that would need to be invented will certainly help us grow and become a better species. History has shown this time and time again. And so, I am all for what SpaceX is doing. In fact, they are the only ones capable of doing it at the time of this upload. Even as I record this video, they are already prepping for the next Starship to go to Mars. But here's the thing. The Starship we're looking at today won't get people to Mars safely, and I'm sure Elon Musk knows this more than anyone. The fact that people, regular passengers like you and me, have to live in a zero-G environment for almost 6 months then rapidly experience a sudden increase in gravitational forces just before landing. This is quite frankly untested, dangerous, and will most likely get anyone killed. The problem with gravity has been very well documented by the Canadian Space Agency and NASA during their low Earth orbit experiments with the Space Shuttle and Space Station for decades. We've seen what gravity can do to our bones and muscles and eyesight, even down to the molecular and genetic level. Gravity is an essential component for space travel. Ignoring this problem means not addressing the commercialization of space properly. You and I are not trained astronauts, just like you and I are not trained pilots. At least, I don't think this channel's demographic has any of these people watching. Nevertheless, if we had to undergo intense training every time we wanted to get on an airplane, no one would be off the ground by now, at least from the general public. If Elon hopes to get 1 million people to Mars by 2050, the gravity problem needs to be addressed now. And I'm sure SpaceX or Elon have already solved this problem on paper. So what are we actually talking about here? What are the solutions that could happen? I should start off by saying that most, if not all of the information in this video is extremely speculative and comes from watching hours of YouTube videos from space enthusiasts and experts that have the same passion for space as I do. Angry Astronaut, To the Future, Scott Manley, and many others. These people have really inspired me to start off this section on my channel. I have left links for some of the ideas discussed here if you guys want to head over to their channels and check out their content. It's really great, and the topics being discussed provide an insider's look into the space industry, oftentimes exposing the corruption by these major corporations, companies, and agencies. So back to SpaceX. The long journey to Mars needs to be dealt with in some way or another, either by shortening the time it takes to get there, which is the preferred option in my opinion, but has a buttload of complications that I hope I'll be able to discuss in this video, or by inducing a gravity environment on board. I won't get into the suicide dive in this video, as I think that SpaceX needs to seriously reevaluate this approach, especially when it comes to people. As cool and as awesome as we see it happen with SN8 and SN9, this maneuver is extremely dangerous at the speeds that they are proposing, and we can come up with a better technique to do this, which again, I'm sure the leading scientists at SpaceX have already figured this out. So let's talk about inducing a gravity environment. To the Future demonstrates this brilliantly with their videos on the issues of Starship. I have left a link below, but the idea is to tether two starships together hundreds of meters apart in order to distribute the simulated gravity across the human body. And by simulated, I mean the centripetal force that's at play here. Obviously, a lot of changes need to happen here with the structure of the Starship. They need to strengthen the hull in order to handle these types of forces, but doing this will definitely help the passengers adjust to space and to Mars, as you can have different levels of gravity with the current design of Starship's floors and decks. This is very important, and for anyone who thinks it's not, I invite you to look at the consequences of living in zero-G environment and what recovery time is needed in order to repair the body. Astronauts coming back from space travel have to rest for hours, sometimes even days, before they can even do anything. Effects are recorded to last even months, and in some cases years, and these vary on every level. Moreover, the first crew going there would have no assistance on the ground whatsoever. They are basically sitting ducks until their bodies recover. On top of all this, traveling in deep space without gravity for several months is extremely risky and dangerous. Any accident, such as a severe injury, is very difficult to handle when you don't have gravity to prevent blood clotting and a bunch of other problems that comes with it. I'm sure viewers of The Expanse know this very well. Adding more salt to this wound, the first crew would have to endure almost 2 years of this. Yes, sure, they have a third of the gravity of Earth on Mars, but then they have to endure a 6-month journey back with no gravity at all. This problem needs to be addressed now and not along the way. The possible reason I think SpaceX hasn't yet addressed these is because I think their initial goal is not to get humans there. Think about it. We haven't really seen any development of the human capsule or life support systems or any of the other systems in the top nose cone of the Starship. Yes, this development has happened on the Falcon, but the compartment inside of Starship is actually very different. All of the development we see is for the engine and the launch and the landing system as a whole. As expected, of course, they should be focusing on that before anything else. But I think here's our first clue that these rockets are just meant for cargo, and what Elon Elon or SpaceX are really doing is building hype so that they propose their human system in the future. Elon is actually great at this. He makes early promises and delivers them late. At least he delivers them. I'm talking to you, NASA. Where the hell is the James Webb or the SLS? In order to get to Mars safely, SpaceX will have to spin the Starship, or change the design altogether and use a thermonuclear engine in order to get us there in less than half the time. And I think they are definitely exploring this option. I think that once they've proven that the Starship can reach Mars, they'll receive approval to fund this new technology, since it's kind of a taboo subject for obvious reasons. Even though we've had a lot of new developments in that sector anyways, NASA has been researching this since the Apollo program and have done several successful tests and experiments. Obviously, radioactive fallout is the main concern here, so maybe Super Heavy would be fitted with chemical rocket technology that SpaceX is researching right now, and the Starship would be a combination of chemical and thermonuclear, chemical being used for the landing, of course. If not, SpaceX gonna have to explore other options in getting us there faster and with gravity, which again, I have to state, I'm sure they are doing this already. So many things to talk about here, but unfortunately, I'm really out of time for today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, if you agree with what needs to happen with the gravity problem, and if you're enjoying this type of content. I'd love to hear all of your opinions. Like this video, and I hope to see you next time with more content about space. And as always, thank you for watching.